Picture a packed auditorium in Manila. Not just full, overflowing. Every seat taken, every aisle crowded. People standing along the walls, unwilling to miss what tonight might bring. Thousands of faces glow under the stage lights. Young singers clutching dreams. Parents gripping programs with trembling hands. Cameras glide silently above the crowd. Red lights blinking, broadcasting every breath to millions watching at home. This is the National Singing Competition Finals. The biggest stage a young Filipino singer can stand on. The kind of stage that changes careers in minutes. The kind that turns unknown names into national headlines by sunrise. Tonight will change lives. Some will walk away forgotten. Some will walk away celebrated. One will walk away transformed forever. But not for the reason anyone expects. Because this isn't the night a star is crowned quietly. It's the night certainty is challenged. The night arrogance meets something it doesn't recognize. Before the night is over, a chart-topping celebrity with 3 platinum albums and a reputation sharp enough to cut will learn the hardest lesson of his career. Not from a rival, not from a critic, not from another star, but from the most unlikely person in the room. A voice no one was prepared to hear, a presence no one bothered to notice, a moment no one could stop once it began. This is not just a singing story. It's a story about power, about who gets heard and who gets dismissed, about what happens when humiliation is public and courage is quiet. It's about standing under lights that feel hostile, about staying still when walking away would be easier, about letting excellence speak when words would fail. And above all, it's a story about a voice so undeniable, so precise, so emotionally devastating, that when it finally rises, an entire arena forgets how to breathe. And silence becomes the loudest sound of all. Meet Vincent Cruz, a household name. The kind people recognize from just a silhouette on a poster. Multiple hit singles, 3 platinum albums, sold-out tours across Asia where crowds scream lyrics louder than the speakers themselves. When Vincent walks into a room, conversations pause, heads turn, people straighten their posture without realizing they've done it. Not because he demands attention, because his reputation arrives before he does. Tonight, Vincent Cruz sits at the judges' table, front and center. 2 other panelists sit beside him, respected musicians, seasoned professionals, mentors to countless young artists. But next to Vincent's star power, they fade into the background. The cameras frame him more often. The audience reacts louder when he speaks. Even the stage lights seem to favor his side of the table. Vincent leans back in his chair, arms crossed, legs stretched out, relaxed, comfortable. A faint smirk rests on his face, the kind that says, "I've been everywhere. I've heard everything. Nothing surprises me anymore." He's not here to discover talent. Discovery implies curiosity, openness, possibility. Vincent doesn't need possibility. He's here to confirm what he already believes he knows. Who belongs, who doesn't. Who looks like a star before they ever open their mouth. The cameras love him. They linger on his reactions. Zoom in when he raises an eyebrow. Cut to his smile when he laughs. The audience loves him. They cheer his jokes. Repeat his critiques online. Quote him like gospel. Producers love him too, because Vincent Cruz creates moments, and moments create ratings. On a night like this, with the lights this bright and the power this concentrated, Vincent Cruz can say almost anything. And get away with it. Her name is Elena Reyes, 22 years old. From a small town in Batangas, most people in the auditorium have never visited. A place where buses run late, where dreams are discussed quietly, and where success feels like something that happens to other people. Elena saved for 2 years just to afford the bus fare to Manila. Not flights, not hotels, just a seat on an overnight bus, counting coins, skipping small comforts, telling herself it would be worth it. She has no sponsors, No powerful manager, no vocal coach with industry connections whispering her name behind the scenes. No stylist waiting backstage with garment bags and mirrors. Everything she has, she carried here herself. She steps onto the stage wearing a simple dress. Clean. Modest. Carefully chosen because it was the only one she owned that felt right. Nothing sparkles, nothing flashes under the lights, nothing demands attention. Her hands tremble slightly as she grips the microphone. Not because she doesn't know how to sing, but because she understands exactly what this stage represents. The audience begins to whisper. Some tilt their heads. Some exchange glances. She doesn't look like finalist. She looks like someone who wandered into the wrong room. Vincent notices immediately. His eyes move over her, not with curiosity, not with interest, with judgment, the kind that decides before listening, before Elena can sing a single note. Vincent raises his hand. Stop! One word, sharp, final. It cuts through the auditorium and echoes back from the walls. Elena freezes. Her breath catches. Her mind scrambles. For a moment she thinks she's misunderstood. Vincent sighs loudly. Not frustrated, not confused. Bored. He turns to the other judges and shakes his head slowly, as if this outcome was inevitable, as if this was always going to happen. Then he looks back at Elena. Not angry, not curious, dismissive. His eyes flick briefly to her dress, her posture, the way her hands tremble around the microphone. A silent inventory of everything he's already decided is wrong with her. His body language says what his words haven't yet. You don't belong here. The other judges shift in their seats. One glances at the host, the other looks down, uncomfortable. The audience grows quiet. Not the excited kind of quiet. The uneasy kind. Vincent leans toward his microphone, just far enough for the cameras to catch every syllable. Let's not waste time, he says. His voice is calm, almost reasonable. Skip a performance. Move on to someone more prepared, someone with stage presence. The words don't just land. They strike, one after another. The camera zooms in on Elena's face. Her jaw tightens. Her eyes well up despite her effort to stop it. She swallows hard. This isn't backstage rejection. This isn't a private critique. This is live television. This is public. This is humiliation, delivered calmly, confidently, and without apology. The host hesitates. His cue cards don't help him here. The teleprompter offers no guidance. Rules don't cover moments like this. There's no script for public dismissal, no protocol for stopping someone before they're heard. But Vincent is Vincent, and everyone on that stage understands what that means. Elena stands alone under the spotlight. The light feels harsher now, brighter, heavier. It exposes everything, her expression, her breathing, the way her fingers tighten around the microphone. Some audience members look away. They don't want to witness what comes next. Others pull out their phones, not to cheer, not to record greatness, to capture a moment they think will end in embarrassment. This is the moment most people would walk off the stage, the moment where pride gives way to self-preservation. And for a split second, Elena's shoulders sag. Her gaze drops. It looks like she might step back. It looks like she might disappear into the darkness she came from. Then something changes. Not loudly, not dramatically, quietly, almost imperceptibly. But once it happens, everything shifts. The tears stop, not because the moment hurts less, but because something deeper takes over. Her breathing steadies. One slow inhale, one controlled exhale. Her hands stop shaking. The microphone no longer feels like a weight. It feels like an anchor. Elena lifts her head. The spotlight still burns. The room is still watching, but she is no longer shrinking inside it. She looks directly at Vincent, not with anger, not with defiance, not with the kind of challenge that begs for approval, but with quiet certainty, The kind that doesn't ask permission. She raises the microphone. The movement is small, almost unnoticeable. Then she turns her head slightly toward the sound technician and nods once, just one nod. Clear, deliberate, final. "I'm singing." The technician freezes. This isn't in the rundown. This isn't what was supposed to happen. He glances at the host. The host looks at the judges. Time stretches. Vincent throws his hands up and laughs. Not threatened, not concerned, amused. "Fine," he says, leaning. He says, "Back again." "Embarrass yourself." A few nervous chuckles ripple through the crowd. Then, the backing track begins. Soft, measured, familiar. The first notes drift into the auditorium, and Elena closes her eyes, because from this moment on, nothing else matters. A classic Filipino ballad, not a safe choice, not a trendy one. A song about enduring love, about standing firm when everything says walk away, about choosing to stay when leaving would hurt less. The kind of song that exposes weakness if you don't mean it. The kind that leaves nowhere to hide. Elena closes her eyes, not for drama, not for the cameras, but to center herself. Vincent leans back in his chair, pen tapping against his scorecard. Tap, tap, tap. Already preparing the critique he thinks he'll deliver. Already certain he knows how this ends. Then Elena sings. The first note isn't tentative. It doesn't search for pitch. It doesn't apologize for being there. It arrives. The sound cuts, cleanly through the auditorium. Not just heard, felt. It isn't just sound. It's a declaration, clear, strong, unmistakable. Vincent's pen stops mid-tap. Frozen in the air, his smirk fades. Not slowly, instantly. The muscles in his face tighten as if his body is trying to catch up with what his ears just heard. Around him, something shifts. The air feels heavier. The room feels closer. The auditorium changes temperature. Elena's voice soars. Not strained, not forced, effortless. Every note lands exactly where it should. Every phrase carries intention. Technically flawless, but more than that, emotionally raw. This isn't performance for approval. This is truth-finding air. It's the voice of every person who's been underestimated, every dream dismissed with a glance, every talent ignored because it arrived in the wrong package. Around the auditorium, phones begin to lower. Not all at once, one by one. Screens go dark, hands fall still. Whispers stop. The quiet spreads outward like a ripple. People who had leaned back now sit forward in their seats. Elbows rest on knees, eyes don't blink. Vincent shifts. Almost without realizing it, he uncrosses his arms. The posture of judgment gives way to attention. For the first time all night, he's not evaluating. He's listening. Elena moves into the bridge, the hardest part of the song. A 3-octave leap, the kind of passage seasoned professionals avoid unless absolutely necessary. A single misstep here would end everything. Elena doesn't hesitate. She takes the breath, and she goes for it. The note rises, clean, controlled, fearless. It rings through the auditorium and holds, not wavering, not thinning, not asking permission to exist. The sound hangs in the air, unbroken, unshaking, unapologetic. And in that suspended moment, no one remembers who doubted her. Before the final note even fades, the audience explodes, not politely, not gradually, all at once. People leap to their feet as if pulled upward by the sound itself. Applause crashes through the auditorium like thunder, layer upon layer, clapping, shouting, cheers breaking loose from places that had been silent seconds earlier. Some audience members are crying openly, hands pressed to mouths, heads shaking in disbelief. Others are shouting her name, "Elena!" Again and again, louder each time. The energy swells, feeding on itself. The 2 other judges stand immediately. No hesitation, no restraint. One presses a hand over her heart, eyes glistening. The other wipes tears from his face, nodding as if words have failed him. They aren't judging anymore, they're witnessing. Elena opens her eyes. For a moment, the lights blur. The crowd is a wall of sound and motion. Her hands begin to shake. Not from fear, not from nerves, from release. From the sudden realization that everything she carried, the doubt, the waiting, the years of being overlooked, has finally found its way into the open. She exhales, and for the first time on that stage, she knows. She's finally been heard. The camera pans slowly to the judges' table. Both judges are standing, still applauding, still shaken. Only Vincent remains seated. He doesn't clap. He doesn't smile. The smirk that once lived on his face is gone, erased. No jokes, no clever remarks, just silence, the kind that feels heavier than applause. The host waits. Seconds stretch longer than they should. The crowd senses it. The noise fades into a restless hush. Everyone watching Vincent now, waiting for him to decide who he's going to be in this moment. Finally, Vincent reaches for his microphone. His movement is slow, deliberate. He looks at Elena. Really looks at her this time. Not at her dress. Not at her nerves. At her. Then his eyes drop to the scorecard in front of him. His jaw tightens. You can see it on his face. Pride pulling one way. Truth pulling the other. Years of authority. Seconds of honesty. The room holds its breath. Vincent doesn't speak. No explanation. No defense. No attempt to reclaim control with words. He simply lifts the card. 10. The number flashes on the screen. For half a heartbeat, there's disbelief. Then the audience erupts. A roar surges through the auditorium, louder than before, sharper, victorious. Not just for Elena, for the moment, for the silence that finally said everything words could not. Elena Reyes wins the competition that night. Her name announced over thunderous applause, confetti falling, cameras flashing. But that isn't what defines the moment, because more than a title, she wins her dignity. She walks off that stage not as someone who survived humiliation, but as someone who outgrew it. The video goes viral within hours, clips spread across social media, shared by strangers who don't know Elena, but recognize themselves in her story. Millions of views, across continents, across languages, thousands of comments pour in. People writing about being underestimated, about being laughed at in classrooms, dismissed in meetings, overlooked because they didn't look the part, and about the moment they proved everyone wrong, quietly. Vincent never publicly apologizes. No long statement, no dramatic confession. But something changes. His interviews soften. His jokes lose their edge. His critiques become more careful. The certainty that once filled every sentence is gone. Some say Elena humbled him. Others say he simply recognized real talent, too late to control the moment, but not too late to learn from it. But the real lesson isn't about Vincent. It never was. It's about Elena. She didn't win by arguing. She didn't win by demanding respect. She didn't win by humiliating someone in return. She won by refusing to let dismissal define her, by staying still when walking away would have been easier, by trusting her ability when no one else did, by letting excellence speak in a room that expected silence. Because sometimes the most powerful response to humiliation is not anger, not revenge, not shouting back. It's being so undeniably good. That silence becomes the only response left. Your worth is not decided by who doubts you. It's decided by whether you still show up when the stage feels hostile and the lights feel unforgiving. And when you do, make sure they can't look away.